You made it. We're on the final module and segment of module 14. The final elements, we'll be talking about cost drivers. And there are three categories of cost drivers that we get associated with. If we're looking at our cost drivers or we're trying to figure out what we're doing, we have structural, organizational, and activity cost drivers. So we're starting getting into the costs and analyzing those costs of what make things tick. So managing activities, we have how costs respond, what these activities do, and what are the costs associated with how we implement these drivers. Let's take a look at those three categories. So we first have structural cost drivers, our basic operations and technologies, kind of the larger scale things. We have organizational cost drivers, internal and external organizational factors. And then we start focusing on the activities, the units of work that we serve the customer and the end product that goes with that. So if we look a little closer, we have our structural cost drivers, fundamental choices about the size and scope of our operations and technologies. So size of stores, what's our footprint? How many square feet are we trying to shoot for? And yeah, types of construction can go into that, but how about where do we locate these? Do we have three Walmarts in a city, 2 Costco's or a Sam's Club? What are we doing? Where are we going to put these things or put these operations? And then what types of technology? Technology yields competitive advantages, but what level of technology? It's a blank check when it comes to technology. You can spend all kinds of money and all kinds of things, but you have to make decisions and make selections. So that's the structural side. That's a big picture. We also have a big picture on the organizational side, our internal activities, our internal organization, our people, and the decisions we make. So are we going to have 2 major suppliers? Are we going to put all our eggs in one basket, one supplier? Or are we going to deal with 50 different suppliers? What do we authorize our employees to make decisions? You probably heard the Nordstrom story of, somebody returned tires to Nordstrom, even though they don't sell tires, but they got a refund. How level do you authorize your employees to make cost decisions and to make operational activity decisions? And then reorganizing equipment for plant efficiency. So we have an assembly line. What goes at the beginning? What goes on the end? How does it flow? I mean, we have General Electric here. I actually watched their line. They have a pretty amazing operation here in Florence. Then designing products and components for efficiency. So that's part of the dream. I think it was when Henry Ford, before he was putting cars out on the assembly line, they were selling for between $2,500 and $3,500 typically. And then when he started making them, they were just a couple of $100s that he could sell them for based on the efficiency of the assembly line. And I guess it was the gun manufacturers is where he learned his art of that manufacturing assembly line work, obviously on a little bigger scale for vehicles. And then there's manufacturing low volume products on the lower cost equipment and maybe some higher volume products. And there's a tendency or a trend towards more machinery, less labor, more fixed costs, less variable direct labor that goes with that. And then we have our activity cost drivers. And what are these activities, specific work activities that need to be done in the process of doing what we do? So we need to inspect incoming raw materials. Nothing can be worse than getting bad raw materials, not knowing they're bad, putting them in, getting the finished good and having the car come off the assembly line and there's inefficiencies in the engine, or there's rattles, or there's things that aren't functioning properly. Then there might be things like customer service phone calls. Okay, those are activities. That's part of doing business. Setting up the machine to work on a product, set up and take down. You want to do a line, and we had that in printing all the time. Monday was blue day and Tuesday was red day when we're printing cards because it changed colors. It's a major setup and major processing in the print shops. Processing a sales order. What's the flow? What goes on with the activities? And then ultimately shipping the product out the door. The activities that go with that are analyzed for the costs and the impact in the system in the cycle. So that wraps up our first chapter associated with managerial accounting. Now we're going to go into some more costing, and there'll be some more numbers and more opportunities to understand what goes on and how we use and apply managerial accounting concepts to what we're doing. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening.